The UES Liberty finished its transformation, and Captain Jake Harrison felt pride swell in his chest as he looked at his ship through the external cameras. What had appeared to be a simple human warship was now revealed as something magnificent and terrible. The hull stretched nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern. Weapon systems that had been folded into dimensional pockets were now deployed and ready for battle. The Liberty was not just a ship. It was a masterpiece of human engineering that combined technology stolen from 3 different alien crashes over the past century. Every bolt and wire had been designed by the best minds humanity could produce. Every system had been tested and refined until it worked perfectly. All stations report full deployment, Lieutenant Commander Steve Collins announced from his position. Weapons are online. Shields are at maximum power. Engines are running at optimal efficiency. Jake nodded and opened a channel to the rest of the fleet. All ships, this is Liberty Actual. Execute Revelation Protocol. Show them what humanity learned from watching the stars. Throughout the small human fleet, 11 other vessels were undergoing the same incredible transformation. Each ship had been built using reverse-engineered alien technology combined with human innovation and determination. The result was a collection of warships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Captain Lisa Park felt her heart racing as the UES Defiance completed its reconfiguration. Her ship now measured 1,500 meters in length and bristled with weapons that could crack moons. The aliens had made the mistake of underestimating human ingenuity, and they were about to pay for that error with their lives. Defiance reporting. Full deployment, she said over the communication channel. Quantum torpedo tubes are loaded and ready to fire. Captain Roy Barnes watched with satisfaction as the UES Thunder revealed its true nature. His ship was smaller than some of the others, but it carried the most advanced kinetic weapon systems ever built. The Thunder could fire metal slugs at 60% the speed of light with enough accuracy to hit a target the size of a baseball from 1,000,000 kilometers away. Thunder acknowledging, he reported to the fleet commander. Kinetic rail systems are armed and ready. Targeting computers show full lock on enemy vessels. 9 other captains made similar reports as their ships finished transforming from apparent cargo haulers and patrol boats into instruments of destruction. The human fleet now displayed enough firepower to level continents, and the alien commanders were finally beginning to understand what they had walked into. Commander Zixathala stared at the main screen in shock as his sensors recalibrated to account for the true size and power of the human ships. What his intelligence teams had reported as a primitive fleet of 12 small vessels was actually a sophisticated battle group equipped with technology he had never seen before. Science officer, I need a full analysis of those human ships immediately. A green-skinned alien worked frantically at her controls, while her 4 eyes tracked data streams across multiple displays. Sir, these readings cannot be correct. Some of these human weapons are showing energy signatures higher than our own primary batteries. That is impossible, Zixathala snarled. Our weapons are the most advanced in the known galaxy. Sir, I am detecting quantum manipulation fields around several of the human vessels. They appear to be using controlled antimatter reactions for power generation. That should not be possible for a species at their technological level. The bridge crew had stopped their chittering laughter. Now they worked in tense silence as they realized that this battle was not going to be the easy victory they had expected. The tactical officer looked up from his station with worry in his multifaceted eyes. Sir, the humans are targeting our ships with what appear to be tachyon-guided weapon systems. Our ECM cannot interfere with faster-than-light targeting computers. Zixathala felt cold fear spreading through his body. In 40 years of conquest, he had never faced an enemy that could match hegemony technology. These humans had not just matched it. In some areas, they appeared to have surpassed it. All ships prepare for immediate attack. Do not give them time to use those weapons. But even as he gave the order, Zixathala knew it was probably too late. The humans had planned this ambush carefully. They had let the alien fleet get comfortable and confident. Now they were about to spring their trap. Captain Jake Harrison studied the tactical display showing the positions of all 30 alien ships. The enemy vessels were spread out in a classic encirclement pattern that would have been devastating against a normal human fleet. But the Liberty and her sister ships were anything but normal. "Steve, what is our weapon status?" he asked his first officer. "All primary batteries show green, sir. We have 40 quantum torpedoes loaded in tubes 1 through 20. The main particle beam array is charged to full power." Jake nodded. The Liberty carried enough firepower to destroy a small planet, but he knew the alien ships were tough. This was going to be a real fight despite their technological advantages. "Signal the fleet. Attack pattern Delta 7. Let us show these aliens why they should have left humanity alone." The human ships moved with impossible grace as they broke formation and began their assault. Each vessel could maneuver in ways that violated conventional physics thanks to their gravity manipulation systems and inertial dampeners. The aliens were about to discover that human ships could dance through space like living creatures. The UES Defiance rolled through a complex spiral pattern that would have crushed any normal crew with G-forces. But Captain Lisa Park and her people felt nothing as their ship's artificial gravity system compensated for every twist and turn. Meanwhile, her weapons officers locked onto 3 alien cruisers that had moved too close together. "Fire tubes 1 through 6, she ordered. 6 quantum torpedoes streaked through space toward their targets. Each warhead contained enough antimatter to vaporize a city block. The weapons moved faster than light thanks to their exotic matter drives, and the aliens had no time to react. Before the first impacts lit up the darkness, Captain Roy Barnes pushed the Thunder into a high-speed attack run against the alien flagship. His ship accelerated to 20% of light speed in just 30 seconds thanks to its experimental reaction drive. The aliens could not match that kind of performance with their conventional engines. "Target the enemy command ship," he told his weapons officer. "Load armor-piercing rounds in all railguns." "Aye, sir. Kinetic system shows ready to fire." The Thunder fired its main weapons, and space filled with streams of depleted uranium slugs moving at incredible velocity. The rounds were too small and fast for the alien sensors to track properly. They struck the enemy flagship before anyone could react. Commander Zixthala felt his ship shudder as something struck the hull with tremendous force. Emergency lights flashed red throughout the bridge as damage reports flooded in from all sections. "Sir, we have multiple hull breaches on decks 4 through 12, his damage control officer reported. "The humans are using kinetic weapons that our shields cannot stop." "How is that possible?" "They are firing solid projectiles at extremely high velocity, sir. The rounds are too small for our defensive systems to target, but they carry enormous kinetic energy." Zixthala realized with growing horror that the humans had found a weakness in hegemony defensive technology. Energy shields that could stop. The most powerful plasma beams were useless against old-fashioned bullets fired fast enough. "Return fire. All weapons." The Void Render fired its massive plasma cannons at the approaching human ship. Beams of superheated gas that could melt through asteroid-sized chunks of solid rock lanced out toward the Thunder. But the human vessel twisted through space like a living thing, and the shots missed by hundreds of meters. "Impossible," Zixthala whispered. "No ship that size should be able to maneuver like that." Throughout the battle zone, human and alien ships exchanged devastating volleys of fire. But it was already clear that the aliens had made a terrible mistake. The humans were not just technologically superior, they were better trained, better coordinated, and much more determined to win. The UES Liberty fired her main particle beam at an alien heavy cruiser and watched with satisfaction as the enemy shields collapsed under the assault. The beam punched through the hull like it was made of paper, and secondary explosions began tearing the ship apart from inside. "Direct hit on target Alpha," Steve Collins reported. "Enemy vessel is breaking up." "Excellent. Find us another target." All around them, the battle was turning into a rout, as human ships demonstrated their superiority in every category that mattered. Alien vessels that had seemed invincible minutes before were now burning wrecks drifting through space. Captain Jake Harrison kept his eyes on the main screen as his fleet moved closer to the alien ships. The enemy vessels looked like floating cities made of dark metal. Each one had hundreds of weapon ports and energy shields that glowed with deadly light. But Jake was not afraid. He had been waiting his whole life for this moment. Behind him on the bridge, Lieutenant Commander Steve Collins watched his instruments carefully. The readings were strange and wonderful. Every system on the Liberty was working perfectly, but the aliens could not see what the ship really was. The special technology that hid their true nature was still working. Distance to enemy fleet, Jake asked quietly. 4 million kilometers in closing, sir, Collins replied. The aliens are moving into a standard attack formation. Jake nodded. The aliens thought they knew how space battles worked. They had conquered dozens of worlds using the same tactics over and over. Surround the enemy ships and destroy them with overwhelming firepower. It had worked against every species they had fought so far. But the aliens had never fought humans before. Captain Lisa Park sat in the command chair of the UES Defiance and felt her heart beating fast with excitement. Her ship was the second largest in the human fleet. Like all the others, it looked old and simple on the outside. The aliens had scanned it many times and decided it was no threat. They were wrong about that. Lisa had been commanding starships for 15 years. She had fought pirates in the outer system and explored unknown regions beyond Pluto. But this was different. This was humanity's first real battle against an alien enemy. Everything they had worked for led to this moment. Captain, all systems are green, her first officer reported. The crew is ready for combat. Good. Tell engineering to prepare for full deployment. We go active in 30 minutes. The Defiance continued flying toward the alien fleet like a lamb walking toward a pack of wolves. But appearances could be very deceiving, especially when humans were involved. Commander Zixathala studied the tactical display on his bridge. The 12 human ships were now close enough that his weapons could destroy them easily. He could end this pathetic attack with a single command. But something about the situation bothered him. Science officer, give me a detailed scan of the lead human vessel. The green-skinned alien worked at her controls for several minutes. Her 4 eyes moved independently as she studied the data flowing across her screens. Finally, she looked up, with confusion written on her face. Sir, the readings are very strange. The human ship appears to be exactly what our intelligence report said it would be. Hull thickness, armor-type weapon systems, everything matches perfectly. Then what is the problem? Zixathala asked. The mass readings, sir. The ship should weigh about 50,000 tons based on its size and construction. But my instruments say it weighs over 200,000 tons. Zixathala felt his stomach tighten. Extra mass could mean hidden armor or secret weapons. It could mean the humans were more dangerous than they appeared. Run the scan again. Check for errors. I have run it 6 times, sir. The readings are consistent. The bridge fell quiet except for the hum of machinery. Zixathala had conquered 47 worlds for the hegemony. He had destroyed fleets 10 times larger than this pathetic human force. But something felt wrong about this situation. Captain Roy Barnes stood in the Combat Information Center of the UES Thunder and watched his crew make final preparations. His ship was smaller than the Liberty or the Defiance, but it packed more firepower than both of them combined. The Thunder was designed for one purpose only: to kill enemy ships as quickly as possible. Roy had been born on Mars 43 years ago. He had grown up watching the stars and dreaming of the day humans would travel between them freely. He had never imagined that dream would turn into a nightmare when hostile aliens arrived to enslave his species. But nightmares could work both ways. The aliens were about to discover that humans had nightmares too. Sir, all weapon systems report ready, his tactical officer announced. Kinetic drivers are loaded with full-yield penetrators. Excellent, stand by for my command. The Thunder looked like a simple freight hauler from the outside. Its hull was covered with fake cargo containers and civilian markings. The aliens had classified it as a merchant vessel that got caught up in the military response by accident. They would learn the truth soon enough. Back on Earth, billions of people watched the news broadcasts showing the tiny human fleet approaching the massive alien armada. Most people thought they were watching 12 ships full of heroes flying to their deaths. Parents held their children close. Religious leaders prayed for miracles. Military officials in secret bunkers held their breath and waited. President Lucas Grant sat in the Oval Office and stared at the secure communication device that would connect him directly to Admiral Morrison. In 15 minutes, he would give the order that would change human history forever. Either his species would take its first step toward becoming a galactic power, or it would cease to exist. The phone rang. Lucas picked it up immediately. This is the President. Sir, this is Admiral Morrison. All fleet units report ready for Shadowforge activation. Are you confident in our chances, Admiral? Sir, I have seen what those ships can do. The aliens picked the wrong species to threaten. Lucas felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. Kate Morrison was the smartest military officer he had ever met. If she believed they could win, then maybe humanity had a real chance. You have my authorization, Admiral. Show them what we are capable of. Yes, sir. Morrison out. Commander Zixathala decided he had waited long enough. The human ships were now close enough that he could see them clearly on his main viewer. They looked exactly like the primitive vessels his intelligence teams had expected. But the mass readings still bothered him. All ships prepare for battle. Target the largest human vessel first. Sir, are you sure we should not demand their surrender again? His communications officer asked. Zix quote. Thala looked at the officer with contempt. These creatures rejected our generous offer. Now they will face the consequences. Fire when ready. The alien fleet began charging their weapons. Plasma cannons that could melt asteroids started glowing with deadly energy. Missile launchers loaded warheads that could crack planets. Ion beams that could strip electrons from atoms began building power. But before any of the weapons could fire, something impossible happened. Captain Jake Harrison smiled as he felt the Liberty begin to change around him. The transformation was starting exactly on schedule. All across his ship systems that had been hidden for months were coming online. Weapons that existed only in theoretical physics textbooks were charging with lethal power. All stations, this is the captain. Execute Shadowforge Protocol. I repeat, execute Shadowforge Protocol. The words every crew member had been waiting to hear finally echoed through the ship. In engineering compartments throughout the vessel, massive machines that had never appeared on any blueprint began to hum with energy. The Liberty was about to show the galaxy what human science could accomplish when properly motivated. Sir Hawley, reconfiguration is beginning, Steve Collins reported from his station. Perfect. Signal the fleet. Time to drop the masks. Throughout the small human fleet, the same transformation was beginning. Ships that had looked weak and primitive started revealing their true nature. The aliens were about to learn that humans were very good at building things that looked harmless on the outside but could kill you in 100 different ways. Commander Zixathala watched his main screen in growing alarm as the human ships began to change before his eyes. Hull plating that had looked thick and clumsy started flowing like liquid metal. Weapon ports that had seemed crude and simple expanded into sophisticated targeting arrays. Ships that had appeared to be 800 meters long suddenly stretched to twice that size. What is happening? He demanded of his science officer. Sir, the human ships are reconfiguring themselves. They appear to be using some kind of dimensional folding technology to hide their true size and capabilities. That is impossible. Our intelligence report said these creatures barely understand nuclear physics. The reports were wrong, sir. These ships are far more advanced than we believed. For the first time in his long career, Commander Zixathala felt something he had never experienced in battle. Fear was creeping into his mind as he realized that his fleet might not be facing primitive savages after all. Commander Zixathala stood on the bridge of his massive warship and looked at the small blue planet through the large window. His ship was called the Void Render, and it was the biggest ship in his fleet. Around him, his crew made clicking sounds with their mouths, which meant they were laughing. They were reading reports about the creatures that lived on the third planet from the star. The planet was called Earth by the creatures who lived there. These creatures called themselves humans. Zixathala thought this was a funny name for such weak beings. His tactical officer walked up to him with a data pad in his clawed hands. The officer had 4 arms, and his skin was green like most of his species. Sir, these humans are very simple, the officer said while clicking his mandibles together. They still use fire and chemicals to push their ships through space. Their biggest warships are not even half as long as our smallest scout ships. Zixthala took the datapad and looked at the numbers. The humans had ships that were only a few hundred meters long. His own ship was over 2,000 meters from front to back. Even their space station that orbited their planet was tiny compared to what his people could build. What about their weapons? Zixthala asked his weapons. Expert. Very basic, sir. They use metal bullets and simple explosives. Some of their ships have energy weapons, but they are weak. Our shields could stop 10,000 of their strongest attacks. The bridge crew clicked and chittered with amusement. One of the junior officers fell over laughing when he saw images of human fighter jets. The small aircraft looked like toys, compared to their massive battle cruisers. Far below on Earth, Admiral Kate Morrison sat in a room deep under the Pentagon building. She was looking at screens that showed the alien fleet hanging in space beyond Earth's moon. 30 huge ships floated there like deadly metal clouds. Each ship was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The aliens had been sending the same message for 3 days now. They wanted all humans to give up and become their slaves. If humans did not surrender, the aliens would destroy every city on Earth. They would kill everyone and take the planet for themselves. Kate looked at the other people in the room. General Pete Johnson sat at one end of the long table. Colonel Lisa Roberts was studying reports about the alien ships. Secretary of Defense Mike Williams was talking quietly on a secure phone with the president. What did the president say? Kate asked when Mike finished his call. He said no. We will not surrender to these aliens. He is going to make a speech to the nation in 1 hour. Kate nodded. She had hoped the president would say that. Americans had never given up without a fight. They were not going to start now, even if the enemy came from the stars. How long until our ships are ready? She asked Colonel Roberts. Captain Jake Harrison reports the Liberty will be ready in 6 hours. The other 11 ships should be ready at the same time. Kate almost smiled. The aliens thought they knew everything about human military power. They had been watching Earth for months. Their spy ships had scanned every base and every weapon. They had counted every tank and every plane. But they had not seen the ships that were hidden in the asteroid belt. Up in space. Commander Zixthala received a message from his home world. The High Command was getting impatient. They wanted him to finish this quickly and move on to the next system. There were 12 more planets in this sector that needed to be conquered. Sir, I am detecting movement from the human homeworld, his sensor officer reported. Show me, Zixthala ordered. The main screen lit up with images from their deep space scanners. 12 human ships were moving away from Earth. They were small and looked very basic. The largest one was maybe 800 meters long. The others were even smaller. Are they coming to attack us? The weapons officer asked. Zix, quote. Thala looked at the pathetic little fleet and started laughing. His whole crew joined in. The sound echoed through the huge bridge like the roar of some terrible beast. These humans think they can fight us with 12 tiny ships. Their entire fleet could fit inside our cargo bay. The tactical officer pulled up more data on the approaching human vessels. Sir, their ships are moving very slowly. At their current speed, it will take them 8 hours to reach us. Perfect. That gives us time to prepare a proper welcome for them. The crew laughed harder. Some of them were making jokes about how they would destroy the human ships in seconds. Others were already planning what they would do with Earth after the humans were gone. Captain Jake Harrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty and watched the alien fleet growing larger on his screens. His ship did not look like much from the outside. It had thick gray armor and stubby weapon ports. Most people would think it was just another human warship. But Jake knew better. He knew what his ship really was. He knew what all 12 ships in his small fleet could do. The aliens were about to get the biggest surprise of their lives. All ships report ready, sir, his communications officer reported. Good. Tell them to maintain radio silence until we reach the target zone. Behind Jake, his crew worked at their stations with calm efficiency. They all knew what was coming. They had trained for this moment for years. Every person on every ship in the fleet had been chosen carefully. They were the best humanity had to offer. Lieutenant Commander Steve Collins looked up from his sensor station. Sir, the aliens are spreading out into attack formation. It looks like they plan to surround us. Let them, Jake said quietly. Everything is going according to plan. The Liberty continued moving toward the alien fleet at what seemed like a very slow speed. The other 11 human ships stayed in formation, behind her. To any observer, they looked like a group of primitive vessels heading toward certain destruction. Commander Zixathala watched the approaching humans with growing amusement. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen such a foolish attack. Usually, when primitive species saw his fleet, they either surrendered immediately or tried to run away. These humans were actually flying straight toward him. "Shall I destroy them now, sir?" the weapons officer asked. "No. Let them get closer first. I want them to see how powerful we are before they die. Fire a warning shot past their lead ship." A massive beam of plasma energy shot out from the void render. It missed the human flagship by several hundred meters, but the energy was so intense that it lit up space like a small sun. The beam had enough power to turn a mountain into vapor. The human ships did not change course. They did not slow down or speed up. They just kept coming straight toward the alien fleet as if nothing had happened. "Curious," Zixathala muttered. "They show either great courage or great stupidity." His science officer looked up from her instruments. "Sir, I am detecting some unusual readings from the human ships." "What kind of readings?" "I am not sure, sir. Their hull signatures keep shifting. It is almost like their ships are bigger than they appear." Zixathala waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Impossible. Our scanners are the most advanced in the galaxy. We can detect a single atom from 1,000 kilometers away." But even as he said this, he felt a small worry growing in the back of his mind. These humans were acting very strange for a species that was about to be destroyed. The battle raged through space between Earth and Luna, as two very different kinds of technology crashed together in deadly combat. Alien plasma beams that could vaporize mountains met human quantum torpedoes that bent the laws of physics. Exotic matter projectiles from the hegemony fleet struck armor made from materials that had never existed in nature, until human scientists created them in secret laboratories. Captain Jake Harrison gripped his command chair as the Liberty shook under enemy fire. A plasma beam from an alien battlecruiser had struck their port shields, and the energy discharge lit up the bridge with brilliant light. But the shields held, and his ship continued its deadly dance through the enemy formation. "Damage report." He called out to his crew. "Shields down to 68%, sir," Commander Beth Williams reported from the engineering station. "Hull armor shows minimal damage. All weapon systems remain operational." Jake nodded with satisfaction. The Liberty had been built to take punishment and keep fighting. Her designers had studied every alien weapon system they could find and created defenses specifically designed to stop them. The ship could survive direct hits that would destroy any normal human vessel. "Return fire all batteries. Target their engines." The Liberty fired a full spread of quantum torpedoes at the alien cruiser that had attacked them. The weapons moved through space faster than light and struck before the enemy could react. Explosions blossomed along the alien ship's hull as antimatter met normal matter and converted both into pure energy. Captain Lisa Park pushed the UES Defiance through a series of impossible maneuvers as 3 alien destroyers tried to surround her ship. The enemy vessels fired everything they had, but the Defiance seemed to exist in several places at once as her dimensional shifting drive allowed her to phase in and out of normal space. "Fire torpedo spread, Charlie," she ordered her weapons officer. 8 quantum torpedoes launched simultaneously from the Defiance and curved through space on intercept courses with all 3 enemy ships. The weapons used exotic matter guidance, systems that could track targets through hyperspace itself. There was no way for the aliens to escape once they had been marked for destruction. The torpedoes struck within seconds of each other, and space erupted in brilliant flashes as 3 alien ships died. Captain Park allowed herself a small smile as she watched the enemy vessels break apart. Each torpedo carried enough antimatter to level a major city, and the alien shields simply could not absorb that much raw energy. Captain Roy Barnes lined up the Thunder for another attack run against the alien flagship. His ship had already punched dozens of holes through the enemy vessel's hull with kinetic rounds, but the massive ship was still fighting. The aliens built their warships tough and it was taking everything the human fleet had to bring them down. Lodi. Penetrator rounds in all railguns, he ordered his weapons team. Target their weapon systems. Aye, sir, kinetic drivers show ready to fire. The Thunder fired again, and streams of depleted uranium slugs crossed the distance to the alien flagship at 60% of light speed. The rounds were too small and fast for enemy sensors to track, but they hit with the force of nuclear weapons. More sections of the alien ship exploded as the kinetic energy was converted to heat, and shockwaves. Commander Zixathala watched his beautiful ship die around him as human weapons tore through hull plating that had been forged in the heart of a star. Emergency lights flickered as power systems failed. The air itself seemed to burn as fires spread through corridors that had never known defeat. Sir, we have lost main power to decks 7 through 15, his damage control officer reported. Life support is failing in multiple sections. What about weapons? Primary batteries are offline, sir. Secondary systems show 30% operational capacity. Zixathala felt despair settling over him like a heavy blanket. His flagship had been designed to fight entire fleets and win. Now it was being torn apart by a single human vessel that should have been destroyed in the first minutes of combat. Sir, I am receiving reports from the rest of the fleet, his communications officer announced. We have lost 12 ships. 8 more are heavily damaged and requesting permission to withdraw. Withdraw where? Zixathala asked bitterly. These humans have superior technology and faster ships. They will hunt us down no matter where we run. The truth was becoming clear to everyone on the bridge. The hegemony had made a terrible mistake when they decided to attack Earth. They had expected to find a primitive species that could be enslaved easily. Instead, they had found warriors who had spent decades preparing for exactly this kind of fight. The UES Liberty rolled through another series of evasive maneuvers as alien missiles streaked past her hull. Each warhead carried enough explosive power to crack a small asteroid, but they were useless if they could not hit their target. Human ships moved like dancers while alien vessels lumbered through space like drunken giants. Steve, how many enemy ships are still combat effective? Jake asked his first officer. I count 18, sir. But most of them are showing heavy damage. We have destroyed 12 and disabled 3 others. Jake studied the tactical display and felt pride in what his people had accomplished. The human fleet had started this battle, outnumbered more than 2 to 1. Now they were winning through superior technology and better training. Signal the fleet. Begin convergence attack on the alien flagship. Time to end this. Throughout the battle zone, human ships began moving toward the alien command vessel like sharks closing in on wounded prey. The Voidrender was the largest and most powerful ship in the enemy fleet. If they could destroy it, the remaining aliens might finally understand that they could not win this fight. Captain Lisa Park brought the Defiance into formation with the Liberty as both ships approached the alien flagship. Her torpedo tubes were fully loaded and her crew was ready for the final assault. They had come too far to fail now. All tubes show ready to fire, her weapons officer reported. Stand by. We attack on Captain Harrison's signal. The Thunder joined the formation from the other side as Captain Barnes positioned his ship for a devastating kinetic bombardment of the enemy vessel. His railguns were loaded with the most powerful penetrator rounds in the human arsenal. Each slug could punch through 50 meters of solid steel, and the alien ship was about to discover what that meant. 9 other human vessels moved into attack positions around the crippled alien flagship. The enemy ship was still dangerous, but it was surrounded and outgunned. Commander Zixathala and his crew had fought bravely, but they were about to learn that courage was not enough when facing superior technology. This is Liberty Actual to all ships. Jake broadcast over the fleet communication channel. Execute final attack pattern. Let us show these aliens what happens when they threaten Earth. 12 human warships opened fire simultaneously on the alien flagship. Quantum torpedoes, particle beams, kinetic rounds, and exotic energy weapons converged on the massive enemy vessel from every direction. The Voidrender had been built to survive almost anything, but no ship could withstand that much concentrated firepower. Commander Zixathala felt his ship come apart around him, as human weapons finally overwhelmed what remained of his defenses. The bridge exploded in showers of sparks as control systems failed. The artificial gravity cut out and everyone floated free in the sudden weightlessness. "Sir, the main reactor is going critical," someone screamed over the noise of dying machinery. "We have maybe 2 minutes before total core failure." Zixathala closed his eyes and tried to understand how everything had gone so wrong. His fleet had been the pride of the hegemony navy. His ship had been called unsinkable by the greatest military minds of his species. Now both were being destroyed by creatures that his people had dismissed as primitive savages. The humans had played a game of deception that was masterful in its simplicity. They had appeared weak and helpless while secretly building weapons that could challenge the greatest powers in the galaxy. Now Earth was announcing its presence to the universe in the most dramatic way possible. "Open a channel to the human flagship," Zixathala ordered. "I wish to speak with their commander, if he was going to die." He wanted to understand how these remarkable creatures had accomplished such an incredible victory against impossible odds. The communication channel crackled with static as Commander Zixathala attempted to contact the human flagship. Around him, his bridge was filled with smoke and the smell of burning electronics. Emergency lights cast everything in a red glow as his mighty warship continued to die around him. Captain Jake Harrison received the incoming signal on the Liberty and looked at his communications officer with raised eyebrows. The alien commander wanted to talk even as his ship was breaking apart from the damage they had inflicted. Jake had to respect that kind of determination even in an enemy. "Put him through," Jake ordered. The main screen flickered and the image of Commander Zixathala appeared. The alien looked exactly like the intelligence reports had described. Green, scaly skin, 4 arms, and multiple eyes that could move independently. But there was something in his expression that Jake had not expected to see. Respect. "Human Commander, I am Zixathala of the Hegemony Fleet," the alien said in accented but understandable English. "You have defeated us in battle. Your ships and your people have proven to be far more capable than our intelligence suggested." Jake studied the alien commander for a moment before responding. "Commander Zixathala, I am Captain Jake Harrison of the United Earth Navy. You and your fleet came here to destroy my world and enslave my people. Did you expect us to simply give up without a fight?" "We expected you to fight," Zixathala replied. "But we did not expect you to win. Your species was reported to be primitive and divided. Your technology was supposed to be centuries behind our own. Your intelligence was wrong about many things." The alien commander nodded slowly. "Yes, it seems that it was. How did you develop such advanced weapons without us detecting them? Our spy ships monitored your world for months before we attacked." Jake smiled, but there was no humor in it. "You monitored what we wanted you to monitor. The ships and weapons you saw were the ones we intended for you to see. The real fleet was hidden where your sensors could not find it." Admiral Kate Morrison listened to the conversation from her command center deep beneath the Pentagon. She felt a surge of pride as she heard Jake handle the alien commander with exactly the right mixture of respect and firmness. The young captain was proving why he had been chosen to lead humanity's first interstellar battle fleet. On the main screen, she could see the tactical situation in space around Earth. 12 human ships faced the remnants of the alien armada. 18 enemy vessels remained operational, but most of them were badly damaged. 3 human ships had been destroyed during the fighting, and Kate felt a pang of loss for the brave crews who had given their lives. But the battle was clearly over. The aliens had been broken as a fighting force, and their commander was trying to negotiate some kind of surrender. Kate opened a channel to the Liberty. "Captain Harrison, this is Admiral Morrison. You are authorized to accept the alien surrender if they are willing to withdraw from our system immediately." "Understood, Admiral. I will make the offer." Jake looked back at the alien commander on his screen. "Commander Zixathala, you are directed to withdraw your remaining ships from the system immediately. If you agree to leave and never return, your damaged vessels will be allowed to depart safely." Zixathala was quiet for a long moment as he considered the offer. His species had never been defeated in open battle before. The hegemony had conquered 47 worlds without ever losing a single engagement. Now they were being offered mercy by the same primitives they had come to enslave. What Guarantee do we have that you will not attack us as we withdraw? He finally asked. You have my word as an officer and a human being. Leave our system and you will not be harmed. The alien commander studied Jake's face through the communication link. There was something about these humans that was different from every other species the hegemony had encountered. They fought with incredible skill and determination, but they also showed mercy to defeated enemies. It was a combination that Zixathala found both admirable and terrifying. I accept your offer, Captain Harrison. My remaining ships will withdraw immediately. One more thing, Commander. You will carry a message back to your superiors. Tell them that Earth is now under the protection of the United Earth Navy. Any future attacks on our world or our people will be met with the same response you received today. Zixathala nodded slowly. I will deliver your message. But I must warn you, Captain, that the hegemony will not forget this defeat. Other fleets will come and they will be better prepared. Jake smiled, and this time there was genuine warmth in it. Let them come, Commander, we will be ready. The communication channel closed and Zixathala turned to his surviving crew members. His ship was dying, but the humans had kept their word. No additional attacks came as the Void Render limped away from the battle zone with the other surviving alien vessels. Captain Lisa Park watched the alien fleet retreat through the Defiance's main viewer. The enemy ships moved slowly as their damaged engines struggled to generate enough power for interstellar travel. It would take them months to reach the nearest hegemony base and even longer to repair all the damage. Captain, shall we pursue? Her tactical officer asked. Negative. We gave our word that they could leave safely. But they might come back with reinforcements. Lisa turned to look at the young officer with a serious expression. Then we will be ready for them. Humans keep their promises even to enemies. That is part of what makes us different. Throughout the human fleet, similar conversations were taking place as crews watched their defeated enemies withdraw. There was no cheering or celebration. Everyone understood that this was just the beginning. Earth had announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible, and there would be consequences. Captain Roy Barnes stood on the bridge of the Thunder and felt a mixture of pride and sadness as he watched the battle zone. His ship had performed perfectly during the engagement, but the cost had been high. Good people had died today, both human and alien. War was never something to celebrate even when you won. Sir, we are receiving new orders from Fleet Command. His communications officer reported. Put it through. Admiral Morrison's voice came over the speaker system. All ships, this is Fleet Command. Excellent work today, people. Return to base for refitting and crew rest. Intelligence reports suggest we may have visitors from other alien powers in the coming months. We need to be ready. Roy nodded to himself. The victory today had been just the first test. Other species would want to see what these upstart humans were capable of. Some would come seeking alliance and trade. Others would come seeking revenge or conquest. But Earth would be ready for all of them. Deep in the secret facilities where Project Shadowforge continued its work, human scientists and engineers were already developing the next generation of weapons and defenses. The technology that had won today's battle was impressive, but it was nothing compared to what they would have ready in 6 months. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for the day when they would meet other intelligent life among the stars. They had hoped for peaceful contact and friendly cooperation. When that hope was crushed by an invasion fleet, they had responded with typical human adaptability. They had built better weapons. Captain Jake Harrison stood alone on the observation deck of the Liberty and looked out at the stars that no longer seemed quite so distant or threatening. Earth had survived its first real test as a spacefaring civilization. They had proven that humans could stand against any threat the galaxy might produce. The aliens who had laughed at humanity's apparent weakness were now carrying news of their defeat back to their masters. Other species would learn that the third planet from a yellow star was not the easy target it appeared to be. Humanity was ready to take its place among the galactic community. They had announced their arrival in the universal language that all species understood. The language of superior firepower and the will to use it in defense of their home. The message was clear and simple. Earth's children were ready for whatever challenges awaited them in the vast darkness between the stars. They had proven that humans were not victims waiting to be conquered. They were predators learning to hunt among the stars.